And we'll begin with Mr. Clay.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Speak more into the mic.
Hello? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here, and I thank our host. My name is Willis Clay. I'm married for 50 years, very proud of my wife and 2 children I have. Campaigns take us to places we normally wouldn't go. It takes us out of their character that we normally have. And tonight I'm going to be out of both. A question was asked Casey the other night about Alec. He watered it down somewhat. I went online last night for 2 hours. Alec is an American Legislative Exchange Council, I think is the last words. They are a group full of lobbyists that writes legislation for our legislatures to pass into law. 104 of those committeemen are Republicans. One is a Democrat. But they seem to pride themselves on the fact that this is a bipartisan group, okay? I left some literature over on the desk for anybody to look at. Go online, choose the sidebars, look at it. Casey in his first year was a member of ALEC. The first year. He wasn't ready for prime time, so he needed support. So it is not a organization that looks out for the middle class, working class, or anybody else. It's an organization that looks out for corporate interest, period. He wants to champion himself as being a fighter for the middle class. He hasn't demonstrated that in the past. In his 2 years legislation, he passed or introduced 6 bills. 4 of them, I understand, were signed by the governor. Neither bill had any indication or anything at all that it was a bill that would help the middle class in any way, shape, or form. So he's not a person that's going to represent you as a middle class is what he wants to say. I think I've done enough damage, so 30 seconds. Thank you.
Mr. Kozlowski.
Thank you. First off, I do want to thank the League of Women Voters today for sponsoring this forum. Not too often do the folks of Ashtabula County get an opportunity to hear from the candidates, let alone see their faces before you see their name on the ballot. So I do want to appreciate the work of the League of Women Voters is doing here today, so that you can certainly learn more about the candidates. Again, my name is Casey Kozlowski. I am running for Ashtabula County Commissioner, seeking to replace Joe McClure, who earlier this year announced that he will not be seeking re-election.
Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
The red button on the box. Hold it.
All right, thank you. Most recently, I had the privilege of serving as the state representative representing the 99th House District, which included all of Ashtabula and northern Trumbull County. I certainly pride myself in the work that I did during my time in the legislature. I actually sponsored 7 pieces of legislation during my tenure, 4 of which were signed into law by the governor. And I pride myself in the fact that all of that legislation that I worked on during my time in the legislature was all generated from my constituency back here in Ashtabula and northern Trumbull County. And that's the same mentality and same mindset I hope to take to the Ashtabula County Commission. Too often you hear from candidates or office holders where their interests lie in Columbus or Washington, but you don't get to actually have somebody that's representing your local needs. And that's certainly something I pride myself in. In addition to serving as a state legislature, I served as the Board of Education member for the Pymatuning Valley School District, and also a business manager for a local company here in Ashtabula County. I'm the son of a small business owner. My family have been primarily in small business their entire life, and I truly believe that is something that we could use to Ashtabula County's advantage. With the retirement of Joe Morosky on the County Commission, we will not have somebody with much private sector experience on the County Commission. I certainly believe that is an attribute and certainly a positive that I can bring to the table. There are 3 primary reasons I'm running for Ashtabula County Commissioner. First and foremost, I believe that I'll provide a system of checks and balances to the Commission. We all recall the sales tax issue that came up a few years ago where there was an attempt to push forward with a sales tax increase without a vote of the people. I stand here today reaffirming that I will ensure that that issue remains decided by the people, and should that issue come up before the commission, I will vote no, and the taxpayers of Ashtabula County will decide. Second, provide the system of checks and balances, raising questions when it's important that we need to. The partisan breakdown of the commission are 2 Democrats, 1 Republican. Certainly hope that we can maintain that bipartisan county commission to ensure that all needs are represented. Also want to certainly focus on the economic development issue in Ashtabula County. Certainly believe I have a lot to bring to the table so that we can certainly move Ashtabula County forward. And finally, the drug crime issue, an issue I'm very passionate about and have met with folks, the sheriff to local candidates, and we've certainly discussed this issue.
Thank you, Mr. Kozlowski.
Thank you.
Stephen McClure.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters and ATEC for hosting this forum. It's it warms my heart that so many people turned out tonight, because we've had some other forums that maybe not so many people came to, but they were still very informative. My name is Steve McClure, and I would like to be your next county commissioner. I said those words approximately 8 months ago to the first person that I went campaigning to, and I've enjoyed every step of the way. In fact, my wife Barb has been by my side the entire time, and we've had a great time meeting all the people in Ashtabula County. And this campaign has reaffirmed what I've always felt and known about the people of Ashtabula County. There's a rich heritage and a very strong work ethic, and I was just glad that that reaffirmed what I always believed. My family, as I said, my wife Barb and I, we've raised 3 children, so we do know the problems and struggles that everyday people, working class families, face, because we were young parents at one time. We have, like I said, we have 3 children. Our daughter Nicole lives in Medina and has graced us with 2 grandchildren. And as a matter of fact, about a month ago, my granddaughter Morgan and grandson Matthew went campaigning with my wife and my oldest daughter, and they became the 4th generation of a McClure to campaign in Ashtabula County for public office. My son Stephen attends Ashcraft Workshop. And my daughter Courtney, our daughter Courtney, attends Kent State in the nursing program. My experiences, I'm a graduate of our local branch of Kent State University. I've served over 12 years as an Ashtabula Township trustee. Prior to that, I served 6 years on the Ashtabula Area City School Board, and I'm currently the Director of Operations for the Ashtabula County Board of Developmental Disabilities. I previously worked for the Ohio Department of Transportation. I'm a member of the Ashtabula County Planning Commission, and I've been endorsed by the Ashtabula County AFL-CIO Labor Council, the United Food Commercial Workers, Local 880, and the Ashtabula Township Firefighters, Local 2710. My platform is simple. It's people, progress, and protection. My father was in government service for 35 years, and he always said this is a business about helping people. If you don't want to help people get out, well, I'm nowhere near ready to get out. I still have a passion for helping people, and I'm committed to doing that. And I am opposed to the sales tax without a vote of the people. That should be decided by the people. Progress, we need to attain what we have, retain what we have here, and try to attract new business. We have a very strong foundation to build upon with our tourism industry and retail. And protection, we have to eradicate ourselves of the drug problem. We have to incarcerate the criminals and also rehabilitate them, and educate our children on the dangers of drugs. I'm experienced, qualified, ready, and I won't let you down. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a couple questions up here about the state making major budget cuts, and then it's been filtered down to local governments. What is your opinion on this? How can we maintain our services, such as sheriff department or our roads and stuff? They want to know what you think about the cuts that are made from the state being passed down to the local governments. Mr. Clay.
Well, naturally you put a bind in all forms of government, even down to your issue too. A lot of attention has been paid to the sheriff's department and the lack of jail space. Pick your microphone off. See, a lot of attention is paid to the lack of jail space in the county. The judges have nowhere to put them. We do need to have expanded jail cell or space. The best way I know to do, and maybe not the best way I know to do, but we need to take the money that's generated from housing state and federal prisoners, put that into the expansion of a jail, as well as grants from whatever sources they can come from. But the main problem, I believe, is in crime in the county is the poor economic conditions. The economy is a driver.
Thank you, Mr. Clay.
Excuse me, I didn't know.
Mr. Kozlowski.
Sure, I appreciate the question. We all remember the economic downturn this country faced, not but in 2008 through 2010, and we certainly faced many challenges. Not only we personally, our pocketbooks, our checkbooks certainly witnessed the tough times, and certainly government saw it as well. The state operating budget, it has increased steadily over the last several years, the state operating budget, and certainly here in Ashtabula County, they certainly have managed to keep afloat and continue moving forward. And certainly something I want to focus on is to ensure that we continue to move forward here in Ashtabula County. But I think we also need to remember that a core component to a comeback here in Ashtabula County is going to be addressing the economic development issue. We've certainly lost a lot of the industry here in Ashtabula County over the last several years. And if we have more people working in Ashtabula County, we have more businesses, we have more tax revenue into the community, we have more money going to the local economy, and we have certainly communities thriving as a whole. So that's certainly something I hope to focus on as an economic development issue so that we can address the finance issue at the county level.
Thank you. Mr. McClure.
Thank you. Well, that's an issue that's very near and dear to my heart. As a township trustee, we had several $100,000, approximately $600,000 stripped from our operating budget at the township, and Mr. Kozlowski was a part of the state legislature because he's claiming that he's balanced the budget without raising taxes. Part of the legislature that balanced the budget, along with Governor Kasich, that balanced the budget. Well, that's very easy to do if you strip millions of dollars from schools, townships, cities, and villages. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. So, like I said, I'm just glad that we were way ahead of the game by planning to, not planning to get that money cut, but we were very austere with our finances as a township, and we were able to avoid this. But unfortunately, it's finally caught up to us, and our road department does have a levy on the ballot this year, and is directly responsible because of the money that was cut from the state. That's why our levy's on the ballot. We had to do something, so the budget was balanced on the back of the taxpayers and local government.
Thank you. Do you favor or oppose the charter form of government that was on the ballot last year? Mr. Kozlowski.
I'm assuming they're referring to the Ashtabula County charter change, where there was a citizens group that stepped forward and attempted to make a change to the structuring of Ashtabula County's government. I supported a vote of the issue. I certainly believe that that issue should have been decided by the voters of Ashtabula County, much like several other issues that I've talked about in my platform over the last several months. There are certain issues that have to remain with the voters, and it's an issue that must decided by them. I don't believe such an issue should be decided on, certainly, by merely county commissioners, elected officials. I think that issue should certainly be decided by the voters of Ashtabula County. And I know that was decided ultimately with that language that was brought forward that was defeated. But I certainly believed such issue should have been voted on by the voters of Ashtabula County.
Mr. McClure.
I oppose the charter change. I just believe that people need to elect their leaders in county, city, township, school board, whatever it may be. It's government for the people, by the people, and people talk about term limits. Well, term limits come around every 2 years, every 4 years, every 6 years for judges. So I was strongly opposed to the charter reform that was on the ballot. The city had one on several years ago. I was strongly opposed to that. To me, there's more politics with that than there is with the government we have now, because if you have 7 members on a board, which I think was the case with this, I don't remember all the numbers, but 4 people could control the entire county government. You wouldn't have checks and balances. They would have appointed the auditor. They would have appointed this office, that office. You lose control by doing what they wanted to do last year, the group that supported the charter. Thank you.
Mr. Clay.
favor of the charter. Basically, my reasoning for that is I've seen for years that the two-party system now is working so far away from each other that there has to be a middle factor somewhere. They've got into the habit of thinking they have inherent right to all these positions, these elected positions that we have. Somewhere they need to come into a realization that there's more people who don't vote, who once was party members of one or the other party, and they feel that they are not represented, and they don't have the trust in the party they once belonged to still be a member of that party. So yes, I was in favor of the charter. If it came up again, I would most likely be in favor of the charter again. Thank you.
Thank you. Got a couple questions, and I'm kind of combining just with the time constraints. What is in your opinion, is the most important issue, or what is the one single issue that would bring positive change to the county? And they want some specifics. Mr. McClure.
The single most important issue, well, I've said all through my campaign, unfortunately, jobs, of course. Everybody wants to have a good paying job. I remember when I got out of high school, you could walk out of high school one day and get a job at one of the plants in Ashtabula Township or even in the city, because you had Reliance and various plants, and support your family. They paid a living wage. That's what we need to do. We need to work together to try to bring business here, or industry, or even the tourism industry that we have now, to jobs that pay a living wage that somebody can support their family on, man, woman, whatever it may be. And crime, of course, is out of control with the drug problem we have. Heroin is so cheap that we need to eradicate the county, but it's all over the country. I have a friend that lives 30 minutes from Disney World, but it's important to us because it's here. This is where we live. But in Florida, he lives 30 minutes from Disney World, and heroin is rampant down there too. But we need to take care of it here in this county. As I said, we need to rehabilitate the first-time offenders and incarcerate the criminals.
Mr. Clay.
I believe the economy is the strongest thing that we need to work on. The economy does and will reduce the crime rate, so attention can be on other departments and other revenue sources to go in and do a little further. But the economy is definitely the overriding factor to improve here.
Mr. Kozlowski.
Thank you. I truly believe economic development, doing all that we can to make Ashtabula County a better place to do business, certainly issue number one, priority number one, something we certainly have to focus on. And I think in regards to this issue, I think it's important to remember, actually, when you look at somebody and they talk about this issue, look at the record. Look at the 12 years somebody served as a trustee. Look at the record somebody served as a state legislator. And we've all seen the unfortunate downturn in Ashtabula Township over the last several years. And we've seen the loss of ESOP. We lost 131 jobs, $7 million in payroll. We saw that company move outside of Ashtabula County. We've seen the steady decline of the mall. We've seen countless factories close their doors. Where has the local leadership been addressing the economic development issue in Ashtabula Township? And I think when you do think about this issue, certainly compare records and look at how their past experience has been on this issue. And it's certainly something I want to focus on, and I believe I've got a lot to bring to the table to address this issue.
Thank you. We're going to wrap it up real quick. We've got a couple questions. They want to know, do you support the Metro Parks levy, and do you support the senior services levy? And we'll begin with Mr. Kozlowski, just a yes or no, and on both of them.
I certainly see a great benefit with the Ashtabula County Metro Parks levy. As I just mentioned, the economic development issue is a very important issue. And with our parks, certainly seeing them grow their operations, having more folks coming into Ashtabula County as a result of the park system, having more funds to develop those parks, certainly is going to be a great benefit for Ashtabula County. I strongly encourage the voters of Ashtabula County to give strong consideration to that issue. I'm not going to tell you how to vote on that specific issue, because that is something you should decide on. I'm not going to say yes or no and be nitpicked for increasing taxes, opposing taxes, lowering taxes, what have you. So I encourage you to certainly do your research on that issue. In terms of the senior levy, I've seen firsthand the benefits of the senior levy. I've rode the buses where they delivered the home-delivered meals, and I saw how beneficial that senior levy has been for the people of Ashtabula County, and especially seniors. So I encourage you to give strong consideration to that as well. We have seen how beneficial it is for the people here in Ashtabula County.
Mr. McClure.
I support the senior levy. I think it does a lot of good for the seniors of our county. And the Metro Parks levy, I think, would be a great economic catalyst, another option for us to consider. I support both the levies. I won't talk around the issue. It's up to the voters, but I personally support both of them. I'm not going to waver.
Mr. Clay.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious that I should support the seniors levy. It's hypocritical if I didn't. I am a person of nature. I love nature. I always will respect it. It provides us with all the things we need. And I'm for the Metro Parks levy.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.